The rain was relentless, pounding against the city streets as Emily Dawson rushed into the police station, drenched and desperate. Her hands trembled as she clutched a photograph, her voice frantic as she spoke to the detective on duty.
Please, you have to find him. His name is Daniel Reeves. He's my fiancé, and he's missing.
Detective Ryan Carter had seen his share of missing person cases, but something about this woman's desperation unsettled him. He took the photograph from her hands and studied it carefully. It showed a young woman, Emily, standing in front of a cafe smiling. But something was off.
Ma'am, there's no one in this picture except you.
No, that's impossible. He was standing right there with me. I remember taking this picture. He was holding my hand.
Ryan frowned. Something about the case felt wrong. He entered the name Daniel Reeves into the police database, expecting to find some sort of record, an ID, a driver's license, anything, but there was nothing. No birth certificate, no social security number, no employment history. It was as if Daniel Reeves had never existed. Still skeptical, Ryan decided to check CCTV footage from the cafe where Emily claimed they met every morning. The footage played on his screen. Emily was there, sipping her coffee, but she was alone. There was no sign of Daniel.
Are you sure you aren't mistaken?
No, this doesn't make sense. He was there. We had breakfast together every day. He always ordered black coffee.
Ryan's instincts told him this was more than just a simple case of a missing person. He checked the records of the hospital where Emily said Daniel had been admitted for a minor accident. Nothing. No patient by that name had ever been registered. Even the lease agreement of the apartment they shared listed only her name. Emily rushed home, frantic. She needed proof. She grabbed her phone, scrolling through old messages. She found them, texts from Daniel. "Good morning, love. I'll pick you up at 7. Her heart steadied for a moment. She wasn't crazy, he was real. Then one by one, the messages began to disappear. Her call logs, blank. Even his contact in her phone, gone. She gasped, her fingers shaking as she desperately redialed his number. Automated voice. "This number does not exist." Emily screamed, throwing her phone across the room. She rushed to her drawers, searching for anything, an old letter, a note, anything he had written. But there was nothing. His clothes in her closet, gone. The book he had gifted her, nowhere to be found. Every trace of him was vanishing, slipping through reality like he had never been there at all. She stumbled back, hyperventilating, her world crashing down, and then her phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. Unknown number, VO. "Stop searching. You were never supposed to remember me." Tears streamed down her face as her mind spiraled into chaos. Was she losing her sanity? Was this some elaborate trick? She ran back to the police station, barely able to breathe, bursting into Detective Ryan's office. "Emily, VO. You have to believe me, I'm not crazy." Ryan hesitated, his face pale. He slid a notepad toward her. "Detective Ryan, VO. I wrote down Daniel's name when we first spoke." Emily's heart pounded as she looked at the notepad. The page was blank. "Emily, VO. No.
Emily, what if he was never real?
No, he was real. I remember him. I loved him. I know he existed.
But as she spoke, a strange feeling washed over her, a terrifying emptiness. The memories that once felt so vivid were becoming hazy. The sound of his laughter, the warmth of his embrace, his voice whispering her name, it was all fading, slipping away like a forgotten dream. She clutched her head, trying to hold on to the memories, but the more she fought, the more they unraveled. And then, just like that, Daniel was gone. Not just from photographs, not just from the world, but from memory itself.
Emily, what if there's something out there that decides who stays and who disappears?
If that's true, then how long before it happens to us?
Somewhere beyond human comprehension, in the depths of the unknown, something was erasing people. No explanation, no pattern, no mercy, and no one knew who would be next. Gap 3S. As the investigation deepened, new clues began to surface, each more baffling than the last. A cryptic note left at the scene of one disappearance read, "The answer lies in the shadows." Another clue, a series of numbers etched into a park bench, 120719. Was it a date, a code, or simply a red herring designed to throw investigators off the trail? Gap 2S. Eyewitnesses reported seeing a shadowy figure lurking near the locations of the disappearances, but descriptions varied wildly. Some said it was a tall man in a dark coat, others swore it was a woman with long flowing hair. One thing was clear, the truth was slipping further away, and with it, the hope of ever understanding this terrifying phenomenon. Gap 2S. The deeper they dug, the more questions arose. Who or what was behind these disappearances? And why were they happening now? The investigation continued, but the answers remained elusive, hidden in a web of mystery and fear. Gap 3S. In a surprising turn of events, Detective Ryan Carter stumbled upon a hidden diary tucked away in an old abandoned warehouse. The diary's pages were filled with cryptic entries, each more perplexing than the last. One entry read, "The shadows whisper truths only the brave can decipher." Another chilling entry stated, "They are not gone, just beyond our reach." Gap 2S. As Detective Carter delved deeper into the diary, he realized that it might hold the key to understanding the inexplicable disappearances. The handwriting varied, suggesting multiple authors, each contributing their own piece to the puzzle. Gap 2S. But who were these authors, and how were they connected to the disappearances? The diary hinted at a secret society, one that thrived in the shadows and operated just beyond the grasp of ordinary people. Gap 2S. With each page turned, Detective Carter felt he was edging closer to the truth, but also deeper into a labyrinth of fear and uncertainty. The secrets were slowly unraveling, but at what cost? Gap 3S. Just when hope seemed to be fading, Emily Dawson received an anonymous tip. The message was simple. "Meet me at the old lighthouse at midnight, I have information." With a mixture of trepidation and determination, Emily made her way to the secluded location. Gap 2S. The air was thick with tension as she approached the towering structure, its eerie silhouette illuminated by the moonlight. Gap 2S. Inside, she found a solitary figure cloaked in darkness. The figure handed her a worn envelope before disappearing into the shadows. Gap 2S. Inside the envelope was a single photograph and a note that read, "This is where it all began." Emily's heart raced as she realized that this new lead could be the breakthrough they desperately needed. The investigation had taken a new turn, but the path ahead was fraught with danger and uncertainty. Gap 2S. Emily's heart pounded as she clutched the photograph, her mind racing with possibilities. Gap 2S. Determined to follow this new lead, she gathered her team and headed to the location indicated in the note. Gap 2S. As they approached the abandoned warehouse, shadows seemed to dance menacingly around them. Gap 2S. Suddenly a figure emerged from the darkness. Gap 2S. "Who are you?" Emily demanded, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her insides. Gap 2S. The figure hesitated before stepping into the dim light. Gap 2S. "I know what happened," the person said, their voice barely a whisper. Gap 2S. "But you must promise to protect me, they're watching and—" Gap 2S. Emily exchanged glances with her team. Gap 2S. This could be the break they needed, but could they trust this mysterious individual? Gap 2S. The confrontation had only just begun, and the truth was still shrouded in darkness. Subscribe to SOS channel for more terrifying mysteries.